So this is one of my favorite builds. This is a logging jib crane trailer, and the idea is you go in the woods, you cut down a log, cut it to 16-inch lengths, and then from there you pull this trailer up, take this electric winch with a set of jaws, lift up the big heavy 16-inch pieces, load it in the back of the trailer, bring it over to the splitting table, drop it down right in the splitting table, and then stack the wood. So there's really no bending over. This really does all the heavy lifting. The only time you have to bend over is when you're using the chainsaw to cut up the log into 16-inch lengths. Got the idea for this trailer from a YouTube channel by the name of From Steel to Wood. Guy that runs the channel, Jonathan. Amazing mind, really innovative. Definitely one of my favorite YouTube channels out there, so definitely go check out his channel. Anyway, I'm having some problems with this wireless Harbor Freight electric winch that is kind of the main heart of this whole system. So I believe I'm having some type of issue inside this controller box. So basically what happens, I'll hold the up or down button and the winch will start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. Sometimes it won't come on at all. So something's up. So what I've done thus far is I've hooked up my power probe to the battery. I'll insert the video clip here. And then you could see that I am getting voltage to the positive terminal on the winch, but it comes on and off, on and off. So I have a feeling we have some type of loose connection. Something's going on in this controller box. So let's take this box apart and see if we can figure out what's going on. Now, I'm not an electrical engineer by any means, but I have a pretty basic understanding of how this brain box works. So basically what we have here is a reverse polarity switch. So for example, when I hit the up button, winch is in free spool by the way, it sends that 12 volt current through the red wire and the black wire is the ground. However, when I want the winch to go in the opposite direction, it sends power to the black wire, 12 volt current goes to the black wire, and the red wire then becomes the ground. Now, I was looking in here, I was hoping to find a burnt out wire. I didn't see any burnt out wires. I still haven't checked to make sure that all these screws are taut. We're gonna do that in a moment here after we disconnect the battery. But I did see this green wire. This wasn't connected to anything. Because it has a different jacket than the other wires, I kind of made the determination, well, this is probably just the antenna for the winch remote. I don't know why it doesn't stick out of the box, but whatever. I think the culprit actually is this yellow wire. So I was just wiggling around some of these wires. See, we have a decent connection on the white, decent, maybe a little bit of wobble on the black. That's probably also part culprit. But if I take this yellow wire, you can hear how loose that connection is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disconnect the battery to ensure that I don't accidentally short anything out here. I'm gonna take a pair of needle nose pliers, we'll pull all these connectors off, recrimp these down, make sure we have a good solid connection, and I'll also check to make sure there's a couple Phillips head screws in there. We're gonna just torque all those down to ensure we're getting good contact on all the other points in. I'm thinking mainly that yellow wire, that should fix our problem. W, B, and Y. That way when I need to put those connectors back, I know what color goes where. Okay, we have those three connections off. Now let's take a big old Phillips head. Let's ensure all these lugs are taut. Yeah. So what I'll do now, I'll take these connectors and I'll just pinch them down a little bit. This is going to make them rather difficult to slide back on, but once they're back on, they should make a really nice connection. All right, let's put these connectors back on. All right, all three of these connections are back in here, and as you can see when I move around the yellow wire, it's not rattling around now. Black wire's tight, white wire's tight. So I'm gonna go ahead, reconnect the battery here. We're just going to step away a little bit, make sure it works at a distance. And I think it's pretty safe to say, I think that fixed our problem. So we'll go ahead and mount this back on the crane. And then we have another issue up in the spool. So second issue we need to work on is, if you look at this tensioner, which looks like just a piece of sheet metal, probably spring steel that's bent up. Anyway, it's designed to keep pressure on the spool and prevent the cable from back winding. And for some reason it's out of whack. I'm not sure, but you know what, I actually see two bolts up here, but in order to get those two bolts off, it looks like I am going to have to unwind this. So the winch is in free spool right now. In order to put it in gear, there's just a knob, so you pull this knob out, turn it 90 degrees. There's a little roll pin that just keeps this spool from engaging with the gear. So I'm going to pull all this cable out now. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to dismount the winch, but it looks like I am, because there's a bolt going through and the head is spinning, and it's in between this mounting plate and the mounting plate of the winch. So let's unbolt it from the backside. Don't you love that? It's a 13 up front, but it's like a 14 in the back. Let's try that again. Okay. Here's your tensioner. I don't know what happened there. Probably had a misfeed. Got it all wound up, so let's see if we can straighten this back out. Looking at this tensioner spring, you can see how shiny it is. You see the streaks from the cable kind of dragging through there. And I noticed that there was also a lot of metallic dust when I was taking this off. So this is wearing down. It's putting some wear and abrasion on the cable, but it's kind of necessary. I actually see that there is a little fracture forming right here. But anyway, it's pretty much back into shape now. I'll probably throw it back on there. And chances are I'll end up taking the winch back off and rebuilding this probably in another year or so. I think I'll get another year out of this. Now with the winch remounted, now I got to start the pain in the butt task of respooling this wire. I'm going to go ahead and call that fixed. The cable is holding tension. See, if I slack up on it, everything stays in the spool. I do see a lot of shavings down here. Again, I do think I am going to have to rebuild that at some point in the near future. But for now, it's back up to snuff. So now we need to move on to the battery. Now, for the longest time, I've just had this battery mounted to the trailer with just a ratchet strap, but I would really like to be able to park this trailer outside and not have to worry about the battery being exposed to the elements. So I ended up buying a battery box. And if you ever need to buy a battery box, all you need to do is figure out what group size your battery is. I believe this is a group 24 battery. So you just go on Amazon or wherever your heart desires, and you can get yourself a battery box. So We'll get this all disconnected. I also bought a waterproof battery charger, which we will also install on this battery. So whenever I need to charge it, all I need to do is just plug it in. Kind of have to worry about it. Could also leave it on a trickle charge. That's probably what I'll do. Alright, so I got the battery box installed. I have the battery in the box, and I'm starting to put the electrical connections back on. And in addition to that, I am permanently installing these leads, which will go to a... It was advertised as waterproof battery charger, but in reality, it's more so water resistant. I hate that, because you go online and you go to buy one of these battery chargers, and oh yeah, it's waterproof. But you start looking at the fine print and you start reading what the box actually says it is. It's only IP65, as where I would have preferred something IP68 or at least IP67. So we're just going to have to wait and see as to how long this battery charger is going to last. So that looks good. That looks good. Battery charger coming off the side here. So we'll go ahead and reinstall the cover now. I think we are in business here. Here's the battery charger. Again, I'm a little bit disappointed in this unit, but we'll just have to wait and see how this holds up over time. So I think I'll just zip tie this. Alright, so let's wrap this video up here. As you can see, I have the battery charger zip tied to the mast. I'm thinking when I do have to store this trailer outside, I probably will make some type of cover to kind of protect the winch. You know, something of like a grill cover just to try and prevent any condensation and water from getting inside that winch, which I think it's water resistant. Well, probably the same thing. It's probably like IP65 rated, but then again, it's a winch. You would think it'd be able to mount on the front of like an ATV or something and take a little bit of abuse, but Harbor Freight winch, I don't know. But yeah, battery charger's all hooked up here, so let's plug this in, make sure that this puppy fires up. I'm seeing there's 3 different settings, 6 volt, 12 volt lead, and you also have 12 volt for lithium ion, so that's interesting. Charger that can do lithium ion batteries as well. I also have a second light down here that says that the unit is charging, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Nice battery box, winch, tensioning springs all fixed, and I'm pretty sure we fixed the remote issues as well. So the final thing that I'm going to have to do on this trailer is install tail lights so that I can tow this behind the truck at some point, but that would mean that I also need to get this registered. Main trailer registrations, that's the place to go. So I will probably get to that sometime in the summer. The other thing with this trailer too is it sits so low in comparison to the hitch I have on the back of the truck. No lie, I think I'd have to get like a 10 or 12 inch drop hitch, and some of those suckers are pretty darn expensive, so I'll have to keep my eye out for one of those. But that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.